Yeah, I was wearing a black tie. What are you gonna do? Hey, Erev Tov Rabotei, we thank you all for coming up for this quick class we're gonna have Bezrat Hashem. We hope with Siyata Dishmaya to do this class on a daily basis. And this is gonna be right after Arvit, which is should be about this time, about 4:50 in the afternoon. And we'll take it as long as we can take it. We hope to do the Masechet. We're gonna learn Daf Shavua Bezrat Hashem, B'li Neder, a Daf a week. And by learning a Daf a week, we hope to finish the Masechet in a few months. We are in Masechet Taanit. Taanit means to fast, and the topic, a big chunk of the Gemara, will be about the fast days that tzaddikim used to fast in order to bring parnasah to the world. Because believe it or not, to have parnasah in the world is not on its own, it's not self-understood, it takes zechut, it takes merits, and sometimes people don't have their own merits, and therefore they would have to invoke those merits with ta'aniyot. Okay, so we are in the first page, Daf Bet Amud Aleph. On the page we have on the right side is Rashi, on the left side is Tosafot. In the middle we have the Mishnah, and the Gemara says, we're ready? Okay. Me'ematai maskirin givurot geshamim. From when do we mention the powers of rain? Rashi says, what does that mean? Shomer mashiv haruach umorida geshem. When do you start to pronounce mashiv haruach umorida geshem? He makes the wind blow and rain come down. When do we start to mention that? Rabbi Eliezer says, Miyom Tov Arishon Shel Hag, from the first day of the festival. Anytime the Mishnah calls something the festival, it's referring to the holiday of Sukkot. So the first day of Sukkot, already says Rabbi Eliezer, you should start mentioning rain. Rabbi Yoshua argues, Rabbi Yoshua Omer, no, Miyom Tov Aharon Shel Hag, from the last day of the holiday of Sukkot. And he gives you the reason. Amar lo Rabbi Yoshua says, why do I tell you the last day? He says, if it rains on Sukkot, that's a sign of curse, chas v'shalom. It's not a good sign. You came to serve Hashem and sit in the sukkah, and He pours water in your face. He made it rain outside. He doesn't want your service. That's not good. Why would I mention Mashiv Ruach on the first day of Sukkot? Good question. That's what Rabbi Yoshua says to Rabbi Eliezer. Amar lo. Rabbi Eliezer, I also didn't tell you to ask for rain. I told you to mention rain. What does that mean? Mashiva Ruach, you're not asking for rain. You're mentioning rain. You're evoking maybe the essence of rain, but you're not asking for it just yet. You're making a remembrance to rain in the Beracha of Tehiyat HaMeitim. And we explained once before, rain is comparable to Tehiyat HaMeitim, to resurrection of the dead. Because just like resurrection of the dead, something that wasn't alive comes to life, rain makes that which wasn't alive come to life. Put a seed into the ground, you put rain onto it, it sprouts, it gives you life. It's a tremendous thing. Water is it's life to us also. Everything depends on water. And therefore, we mention the powers of rain. Okay, so Rabbi Eliezer sticks to his guns. Meaning he sticks to his, Rabbi Eliezer says, since I'm not telling you to ask for rain, rather I'm telling you to mention rain, you can mention it any time. And therefore, I'm going to tell you, mention it the first day of Sukkot, because Sukkot connects to the essence of rain. How so? Sukkot connects to the essence of rain in the sense that you take the Arba'at Aminim, the four spices, in order to evoke rain. You tell Hashem, we need rain in the world, right? And then that's why says Rabbi Eliezer, you mentioned it on the first day of the holiday. So Rabbi Yoshua has a bomb argument. What was Rabbi Eliezer's reply? I didn't tell you to ask, I told you to mention. Very good. Rafi's in. I told you to mention. Says Rabbi Yoshua, if you're just mentioning, then mention it all year. Mm-hmm. You understand? But Rabbi Eliezer will tell you, no, now that Sukkot's the season, you're arousing the energy of rain, so now's the time to mention it. Rabbi Eliezer sticks to his argument, Rabbi Yoshua sticks to his argument, and obviously when there's an argument between the two, who do we go like? We go like Rabbi Yoshua. Yes.
Why do we need two separate ones altogether?
What do you mean?
We don't need rain all year.
No, you see, in the summer, it's not a siman bracha to ask for rain. You don't ask for rain in the summer.
No, you can mention it.
Why not?
What? It's not a time of rain. Rain is in the winter. That's the main essence and season of rain.
In Eretz Yisrael.
In the world.
I don't know about this.
Why?
You need Geshem all year round.
Yes, but to ask for Geshem, meaning we want Geshem, Gishmei Bracha. You know, we're not talking about
Gishmei bracha,
a light
it's
20-minute rain in Florida.
Right, you need to rain. You need to water your plants every other
Yeah,
day.
but the summer was not considered a time for rain. That's why we don't ask for rain. It's a good question.
I'm not understanding what you're saying at all. I understand what you're saying, but it's not making sense.
You're saying, what's the logic? What's the rationale?
You're going somech al rabbanim, but I'm telling you, you know, you need to have some support in terms of you know, the actual fruiting of things.
אז יורד טל.
Yeah, but that's part of Geshem.
No, well,
Should
no.
walk with the Geshem.
Morid Atal is not the
Okay,
same.
so Morid Geshem, Morid Atal, one sentence. Why do you need to have two separate sentences?
Rain is rain in the rain season, and non-rain is not rain. That's
you know,
all.
right now is the rain season, right?
Yeah.
In Israel, there's no rain, there's tal.
Okay.
You drive to Yerushalayim, you see all full of grass.
Good.
Okay? In the summertime, you drive, you see no grass.
Okay, so for your grass, you want God to give you rain.
But there's no
He
rain.
wants you to enjoy the summer. I hear you. I'll look into it, Billy Leather. It's a good question.
One sentence.
Rafi's saying, ask for rain all year round. We need rain. No, it's not a time of rain. No, but that, you mention rain when it's close to the season of asking for
It
rain.
makes sense because you live in America right now, so more, Geshem makes more sense. In Israel, it doesn't make sense.
What does that mean? It doesn't make sense.
It makes more sense because you're in Galut. The rains, the seasons here are different. You become accustomed to having rain and etc. Over there, you're not accustomed to rain. Okay, so in the summertime, there's no rain. You're used to it already. Inyan shel regel.
In the summer already, all the trees gave their pladi. They gave they manifested their fruit already. No, it's not a time of
We're talking
rain.
about trees and fruit, but what about
I hear you. I hear you. I have to look into it. Good question. Fair question. I like it, Rafi. That's why we like it that you're here. You get it? You see, we take things for granted. Since we were children, they told us summer, Morid Atal. Winter, Mashiva Ruach Morid Geshem. So we say, what do you mean? Winter is a time of rain. We didn't even stop for a moment to think deeply on this matter. But Bezrat Hashem, we'll look into it. Okay. En sho'alin et hageshamim el samuch legeshamim. This answers your question. You don't ask for rain unless it's close to the time of rain. I have to open up my special reinforced book over here to get Rafi an answer. You'll excuse me for a second. Right? Let's see. This book is called a Metifta. Metifta, it's encyclopedic. It's 130 volumes on Shas. It's a collection. If you want to get one, you need to get 3-4 bookshelves in your house. But this has everything. Anything you can imagine. Anybody ever said anything? Thought to say something? I'm kidding. It's in the Metifta. This is the Rosh Hashiva. Yes, the Metifta. So let's see what they say. The Mishnah gave us a rule that you ask for rain only close to rain. Rafi has a problem with it. He says, why is that so? You hear the question? Let's see if there's Rashi on this. No Rashi yet. Let's see. Tedvav, I'll read it for you. Ri Milonial, Rabbi Avadim Mertur al Pi Perush Ehad B'Gemara Le'alan. רק שאף לרבי אליעזר טוב ראשון, אין שואלים אז את הגשמים, נימוקי יוסף. Nothing, it doesn't explain. Doesn't explain the reason to this.
Out of thin air. Okay.
Well, yeah, okay, maybe we're missing something. Bezrat Hashem. For tomorrow, Beli Neder, I'll have an answer for you. Now like this. You only ask for rain close to the season of rain. Okay, good. Now, continues the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says, person who was the Chazan on the last day of the Chag, Shel Chag, which is the last day of Sukkot. Yeah, that's Shemini Atzeret. HaHaron Maskir, the one who reads Musaf, mentions Mashiva Ruach Morid Geshem. Harishon Eno Maskir, the one who's davening Shaharit, doesn't mention Mashiva Ruach Morid Geshem. Meaning at the end of Sukkot, end, guy who gets up from Musaf, he says Mashiva Ruach Morid Geshem. He mentions the power of rain. B'yom Tov Harishon Shel Pesach, whereas on the first day of Passover, Harishon Maskir, right? You just came to Passover. That morning you mentioned Mashiva Ruach Morid Geshem, but Passover is the cutoff point for rain. When Passover comes, no more rain. Haron no Maskir. By Musaf, already you don't mention the power of rain. Good?
You're recording?
No, why? It's good. Says the Gemara, I have a problem. Says the Gemara, I have a problem. What's the problem? Problems like this. Where is the Tana holding that he's teaching you me'ematai? From when? From when implies I know of an obligation already. What does that mean, from when? You hear the question? Imagine I come to Yochanan and say, hey, when are you picking me up? What? What are you talking about? Right? When you ask when, the implication is that we already discussed him picking me up. Right? Now I can come and say when. The Gemara, the Mishnah says, when do you mention rain? What are you talking about? When did you even tell me I have to mention rain? Right? You never even told me the whole concept in the first place. Hear the question?
Yes.
Good. The Tana is holding over there. Where? The Katane we learned in the Mishnah. Where is this Mishnah? Look at the little base. You see the little base? Rashi, you see the little base in Rashi letters?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now look to the top, right? And my Gemara, that's at least where it is. Mesoret Hashaz, the little base. Sham Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph. It's Gemara in Barachot on page 33a. We learned this Gemara together. Maskirin Givurot Gishamim Tchiyat HaMetim. You mentioned the powers of rain in Tchiyat HaMetim. V'shoalim B'Birkat HaShanim. You ask for rain in the blessing of years, which is Mevarech HaShanim. V'Havdalah B'Chonin Adat. You mentioned Havdalah in the blessing of Da'at, of intellect, because without intellect you cannot make Havdalah. What does that mean, Lehavdil? To separate. You can only separate between good and bad when you have intellect. When you have no intellect, there's nothing to separate. A child cannot separate from danger. He doesn't know of danger. Right? Whereas a human, he has sechel, he has da'at, he's able to make havdalot, he's able to make distinctions. So we mentioned havdalah in the blessing of da'at. Vikatani me'ematai maskirin gvurot geshamim. And we learned in that same Mishnah, when do you... Right. I'm sorry. Meaning that Mishnah said, maskirin gvurot geshamim. You mentioned the power of rain.
Just mention.
Huh?
Just mention.
Mashiva roch mitigation. Now the Gemara over here is saying, when do you start to mention? It's picking up from that Mishnah in Masechet Berachot. So the Gemara, whoa. You don't say something now. Imagine I say something to Yochanan about picking me up, and 3 weeks later I come to him and say, oh, so when are you picking me up? What are you talking about? What can I pick you up? We didn't speak on this topic for 3 weeks already. Right? Same thing here. You taught me in Masechet Barachot, you mentioned the power of rain. Now you waited to the next Seder. You went through Masechet Shabbat, through Masechet Eruvin, through Masechet Pesachim, Shkalim, I don't know, all these different Masechtot, Rosh Hashanah, Yoma, Sukkah. Now you came to Taanit and now he's picking up from there. Are you kidding me? 80 miles later he remembered, by the way, I have to recap what I said already. That doesn't make sense, says the Gemara. Why don't you teach it to me over there, where you mentioned it the first time? Why'd you leave it until now? Just teaching us a principle.
What's the memshin?
What?
What's the memshin?
Ma'ishno. The Shafki Adhocha. Why do you leave it until here? It's teaching you a lesson. Don't procrastinate. You started something, finish it. Nice lesson, no, Avi? Okay. No, really, we're not picking up from Masechet Berachot, which is in a different order. How many orders do you have in Mishnayot? Sedarim. 6. We sing it every Pesach. Shish to min, shish sidre mishno. 6 are the 6 Sedarim. Orders, main categories of Mishnah. You have Ziraim, right, which has one Masechet Gemara and many Masechet Mishnayot. Then you have Zman. You have Moed, which deals with all the holidays and Shabbatot and Yamim Tovim, everything that has to do with time. Then you have Nashim, all the laws of ladies, marriage, non-marriage, all the different things that deal with ladies, Masechet Sotah, Masechet Nazir, that's all in Nashim. Then you have Nezikin, the laws of monetary damages and other damages, etc. Then you have the laws of Kochim and Taharot. Yes? So these are the 6 Sedarim of Mishnayot that we have. Why did you jump from one Seder to another? You waited all this time to mention it. Says the Gemara, no. You know something? We learned it in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, which is in the same line. It's in Seder Moed. Rosh Hashanah Salig, the Tanan, we learned like this in Masechet Rosh Hashanah. Uvechag nidonin alamayim. When are you judged for water? You're judged for water on Sukkot. In Masechet Rosh Hashanah, it mentions your judgment for water on Sukkot. Since you taught me that on the holiday of Sukkot you're judged for water, he taught us from when do you mention the powers of rain. Yes, in the same, how do you say, seder. Says the Gemara, "Velitni me'matam maskirin al geshamim." Why do you need to teach me me'matam maskirin givurot geshamim, the powers of rain? Why not say me'matam maskirin al geshamim? When do you mention rain? What is this power of rain? You hear the question? Says the Gemara, "My givurot geshamim, Amar bi Yochanan, mipnei she'ordin migura." No, you know why I say givurot geshamim? Because rain comes down with strength. With the strength of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rain comes down. That's why we say givurot geshamim. Says the Gemara, you ready for this one, guys? It's going to be a mental exercise. Shene'emar, we have a pasuk. The pasuk says, Oseh gedolot ad en heker. Hashem does wonders at en heker. We don't even know how many wonders He does for us. There are so many things in the world we don't even know yet. And He makes all these wonderful things come into existence for us, for His people, for the children, right? For humankind. Oseh gedolot ad en heker. Veniflaot ad en mispar. He does niflaot, wonders, until you can't even count. Uchtiv, and it says right afterwards. Good. Hanoten matar al pnei eretz, v'sholeach ma'im al pnei chutzot. He makes rain come on the face of the land, and He sends water on the surface of the outskirts, chutzot. Says the Gemara, what did you just prove from there? Again, our question was, why did you mention powers of rain? What does that mean, powers of rain? Says the Gemara, because they come down with power. Says the Gemara, how do you know? Hashem does wonders that you can't even fathom. Yeah? And He makes rain come down. Where did you get power from that? You hear the question? La 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 la. Rafi, where are we holding?
Right here.
Fantastic. What do we got? Where are we holding? We're going to slow down. No worry.
It could be not literal. It could be something else also.
That's true, but for now we have to learn the Gemara for face value. Right? You can never, en mikra yotze midei pshuto. Anytime you learn a pasuk, a chumash, a parasha, Gemara, anything, don't discount its face value. Yes? You're right, there's always depth, there's always something deeper, something more meaningful. But you cannot say that I'm here just to teach you something more meaningful.
Niflaot.
What?
Brought to niflaot.
Good, the niflaot, and then mispar. Says the Gemara, my mashma. From where did you get over there anything about Givurah? Says the Gemara, no, you have to make a Gezerah Shavua. One day we're going to get a whiteboard or a blackboard. And we'll write it out. Yeah, we need to get a whiteboard. But like this. We're going to make something called a Gezerah Shavua. You see, every word in the Torah was written with divine wisdom. It's godly. Therefore, no word comes about coincidentally. Therefore, if I see a certain word in a certain place, I can learn a connection to that word if I have that same word somewhere else. That word was not used coincidentally. If I see that word in one place and the same word in another place, that means there's a connection between the two sources. You hear? So say our rabbis, there's this word cheker. Cheker means to fathom, yeah? Or to think about, yeah? We said Hashem does wonders ad en cheker. He sends rain. This word cheker in another place is dealing with the concept of power. And therefore the Gemara is going to say this concept, cheker are synonymous, right? And therefore you connect the concept of rain to the concept of power, that rain comes down with the power of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yes? Okay. So let's see. Says the Gemara, Oseh gedolot adin cheker, ונפלאות עד אין מספר, וכתיב, הנותן מטר על פני ארץ, ושולח מים על פני חוצות. So the Gemara, מה משמע? What did you get from that? אמר רבא בר שילה, עדיה חקר חקר בבריאתו של עולם. No, we connect this חקר to another חקר that we saw in the creation of the world. כתיב, it says over here, עושה גדולות עד אין חקר, Hashem does wonders until you can't even fathom. וכתיב אדם, and it says over there, in the creation of the world, Halo yadata, don't you know? Im lo shamata, if you didn't hear, Elohe olam, the God of the world, Hashem, borek ketzot haaretz, He creates the edges of the world. Lo yi'af lo yiga, He never gets tired. And heker litmulato, there is no heker, you can't fathom Yeah? The depth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the depth of God Almighty. Uchtim, and it says right afterwards, Mechin harim bekoho, koho, nezar bigvura. He prepares harim, mountains with his power. Nezar bigvura, he girds himself with givura. So from here we connect the concept of what? Of cheker to cheker. And here it mentions givura, which is strength. And that we connect to rain, that rain falls with strength. Let's see if they mention anything here. And we'll finish with this. Okay, he says something in the name of the Tosafot, but I feel like we'll leave it right now. Fine, says the Gemara. Umanalan de bitfila. How do you know you have to mention rain in prayer? Why do you have to mention it in prayer? How do you know you have to mention it? Says the Gemara. I'll tell you how I know you have to mention rain in prayer. The Tanya we learned. Le'ahava et Adonai Elohechem ul'ovdo b'chol levavchem. We say this in the Shema Israel. To love Hashem with your heart and to serve Him with all of your heart. Says the Gemara, what does that mean to serve Hashem with your heart? How do you serve Hashem with your heart? Obviously, when you do the mitzvot, you have to do them from the bottom of your heart. But there's another meaning, says the Gemara. What is the main work of a person's heart? It's the concept of prayer. The main work of your heart is to pray. That prayer is to be connected to your heart. Your heart is to come out in front of God. It has to be poured out in front of Hashem. And as soon as you say this, to love Hashem with all of your heart, what does it say? I will give you mitar artzichem, I will give you the rains of your land, yoreo malkosh, early rains and late rains. So from the fact that we mention rain right after mentioning the service of Hashem with your heart, says the Gemara, don't take it coincidental. What does that mean? That means that you have to mention and pray for the concept of rain. It doesn't come automatic. You have to mention rain and you have to ask for rain, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends rain. And how do we know that you have to mention it? Because the pasuk that speaks about serving Hashem with your heart, right afterwards mentions what? The concept of rain. And the Gemara says, you think that's coincidental? Of course not. They're together. It's to show you that you have to pray for rain. And we'll finish that a person, so too with parnasa. You want to be successful? You have to ask Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, may I make good deals? Yes? May the deals come on an easier note. May they not make me crazy, these customers. May it be final sale. Yeah, you have to pray for parnasa. Always to say thank you, obviously, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the concept of rain, you have to ask for it. And you hear it, son.
You make a good point though. Like why only in the winter?
Why rain
you
in the winter?
Parnasa only in the winter or only
no,
in the summer?
Parnasa, you say Barichenu. But you don't mention rain. Because rain, its time is in the winter. I feel like I knew this answer before.
Yeah, but Barachenu and Barach Aleinu, it's said it's time for Parnasa, no? And Barachenu is more of a mellow season.
Bless us in everything we do. That's in the summer. In the winter, it's Barech Aleinu Hashem L'Krishna Azod. This year, it's more mamash meforat.
What if everything I do is ma'ashai?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know that? Everything. When I bless people, sometimes I get a weird feeling like, oh, I'm crawling into the wrong alley over here. Hashem, L'Tovah, it should be for the good. No, if you listen to how I bless them, b'ma'asei adam. In the hand of his work, in the work of his hand. Hashem should bless me b'ma'asei adam. I got careful. I don't say always b'chol ma'asei adam in everything he does. Because yeah. You hear that? I don't say that. Anyways,
Careful.
you gotta be careful. You know, Abraham Avinu didn't bless Isaac, Yitzchak. Why? Because Yitzchak was gonna have Esav. So be very careful. You give somebody a bracha, you don't want that bracha should go and carry a rasha now. Yes?
You should have blessed him. Then after 13, it would have been better.
No. He wanted to bless him also for finances. That he should have you have to be very careful. We'll take this off recording. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, amen, amen.